Hello there all my lovely jewelry makers, I'm Christina of CSLdesigns, and in today's video we're going to be doing some more lasering and making some beautiful pieces of jewelry, if I do say so myself. And the machine we're going to be using today is the Ortur Laser Master 3 that they kindly sent to me to try out, so I really appreciate that. And of course I'm going to leave any relevant information and useful links in the description box down below. And you'll also be able to find a discount code if you might want to try it out yourself. So just as a bit of an overview, we're going to be doing both engraving and also cutting to make pieces from scratch. So I think we should just start out where we started, so that is with engraving. And the very first piece that we ended up doing was engraving on a blank, and this is what the final piece looks like. So this is basically a design of different stars. We have one focal one in the middle, you could call that the northern star, and then we have smaller ones around it in different designs. And I created all these in Procreate. So I designed them there and then I exported them, created this full design, what I knew was going to then fit within this blank. And obviously we used the laser to engrave onto it, which works beautifully on stainless steel blanks like this. And then what I thought would be really lovely just to finish it off was add some little crystals to the center of some of the stars, just to add that extra bling and interest. And I'm really happy with how this turned out. So I think this could very well be Christmas themed if you want to use the large star there as a northern star, or it could obviously fit any year round if you just like stars in general. And then I just added a chain to it, so it's obviously wearable as a necklace. Now because we kind of just gotten started and I was quite happy with how this was turning out, I ended up making quite a few of these because I kind of couldn't stop because I really liked how the design was turning out. Obviously at the time I hadn't added the little crystals yet, but I knew I was going to, and they were going to add a lovely sparkle, which in my opinion you can never have too much sparkle. So I actually think I'm just going to put a couple of these for sale in my shop if you're interested. Of course that link will be down below as well. But yeah, this was basically the first design that we did and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. So next I had some other round blanks like the ones that we just looked at, except these ones have two holes, and my thought was with them that I wanted to turn them into bracelets. So this is what they look like. As you can see, these have two holes and they're opposite each other, so they're perfect for attaching cord like these and then making them into a bracelet like I've ended up doing with these. So again, the design I created in Procreate and Photoshop. So I used some of those stars and then I just wrote "You're a star" because who doesn't like that saying? And of course again got it engraved onto the blanks, and these are again stainless steel, and I also think these turned out really cute. So again, got them engraved, and then afterwards I just basically used S-long cord to attach through the holes there and then create the macrame around so they are complete bracelets. And I'm also really happy with how they turned out. I love the combination of having a focal piece like this that could also be personalized, and then using something like macrame or anything else like basic techniques that you can then turn it into jewelry. And they're very wearable, and I also actually think they make really cute presents. Especially with this engraving, "You're a star," give that to someone and that's basically a nice little message. So I could definitely see experimenting much more with this concept, even like I said, maybe actually personalizing the engraving. And some of them are actually also double-sided. So if you could use the cords and maybe make the two sides different colors, you could always flip the piece inside out depending on what color you want to wear that day. So that's also a different idea. So yeah, these I think are really cute everyday or even friendship bracelets. So the next few pieces that we made are some of my favorites because they are very personal to me. So I actually found some blanks in bead form and they were in the shape of stars. And I thought I have to try and get them and see what I can do with them, because using them as beads obviously would open up a whole different set of possibilities than just kind of the regular blanks. So this is what they've ended up looking like. So these are the three beads that we made. As you can see, they're a lovely star shape, so they are sizable enough to obviously be able to engrave onto, but still not too big if you just want a bit of a delicate piece. And we did make them double-sided, so as a necklace you can wear it, and as it flips around it doesn't matter what side faces outward. So as you can see here, what we have is on one side we engraved a G, that is for Gizmo, and on the other side, on all of them, we engraved an N, which is for Newt, and those are our two babies. And that is why they're very personal to me. So these are going to be some of my favorite pieces of jewelry that I'm probably going to be wearing a lot of the time. And there's some different variations. So the first one here is an opal bead that I added below the star, and it's got absolutely beautiful play of colors. The next one I used purple hematite. Purple is my personal favorite color. And then here I used rainbow coated hematite, which rainbows are also one of my favorite things. So I love that coating as well. So these are basically, like I said, very personal to me because obviously I made it quite sentimental for me with the engraving on both sides, and then also the beads and the colors that I chose. So I think something like this will also be brilliant for presents because you can obviously make it personal to whoever you're giving it to, and it is a beautiful piece of jewelry. So I'm very happy with these, and these, like I said, are some of my personal favorites that I'll be wearing most of the time. Now, like I just mentioned, rainbows are one of my favorite things, and if you watch one of my recent videos, you'll also have seen that I have a lot of things in my home that are rainbow coated. So cutlery, now pliers, tweezers, scissors, really anything I can get a hold of. And I happened to actually find a few blanks that have that same coating. So I was like, I have to get them and try them because, yeah, I just had to. Now what I found was actually some hearts shaped with that rainbow coating. And this is what they look like. So there's a larger one and a smaller one. And then I also got matching chains. So obviously to turn them into necklaces. And then what I thought with this engraving was I wanted something that kind of matched the blank itself. So because these are rainbow coated, I thought the words "look up," so basically look up to the sky where the rainbow is, would be a nice little, also short saying to put on there. So when you wear this, you can look at it and just be reminded to kind of stay positive. That was my thinking with it anyway. So they have been engraved on both sides because they're coated on both sides and they are different from each other. As you can see on the small one here, this side has more purple in it, whereas the other side is more blue and green. So that's what I love about this kind of coating as well. So what you can probably see here, we started with the large one and the engraving doesn't look 100%, and it's not, and that's not the laser's fault. That's because we ended up finding out that this font seemed to be a little bit difficult for the laser fully to engrave because it had some very thin bits. But what we then ended up doing for the small one was adjust the brightness and the contrast, which then ended up helping dramatically. So it ended up really standing out on the small one. As you can see on the small one, it's perfect and there's nothing missing. So that was just a little adjustment. Again, obviously that's why you kind of test pieces out first and then find out what settings suit you properly, because different materials will have different settings as necessary. And we did also find out with the engraving in general that it actually helped making the machine go over it twice. So you set the machine to go over it twice in one go during the process, and of course you don't move the piece in the meantime, and it literally engraves on top of itself perfectly, and it just makes the engraving that little bit stronger, we found. So I definitely recommend trying that out. But otherwise I'm definitely also going to be wearing something like this because, like I said, I love these finishes. Now the final engraving that we did is also rainbow related because I also found some other rainbow coated blanks, and these are bracelet blanks. So I was like, I have to get some of those as well and try those out. So obviously they come flat and you have to shape them yourself after you've engraved or stamped into them. And they actually have a little cutout hat on one end, which is also really cute. So what I thought, why not just add a little dangle there? Because they are bangles, so there's no clasp or anything. So just add a cute little dangle on one end there. And this bead is a rainbow coated hematite gemstone bead, and it's a star shape. So again, I think that fits nicely with what we ended up engraving into it. We've done the same on both of them just because I do really like this saying. So what it says is, try to be a rainbow in someone's cloud. So again, a really positive and uplifting saying, I think. And again, something you can be wearing, look down, read it, and get a little bit of a positive boost. So I do think these are really cool as well. And of course, you could always wear them as a set as they go really lovely together. So now let's move on from engraving and go to cutting out material from scratch. And what we're going to be working with is 3mm thick plywood. So if you remember, the first thing I showed you were my blanks with the stars on them. I took that large star that I created for the middle and kind of built on that. I then turned it into a design that I wanted to cut out, and I ended up making a pair of earrings and a necklace that obviously matched, you could wear as a set. And then here they're basically snowflakes, which again can also be Christmas themed or just winter in general. So again, first of all, I created the design in Procreate, and then I imported it into the software to then obviously get it to the laser to be able to cut it out from the plywood. And the laser can easily cut through this thickness. What we actually did was to get it just perfect, was to make the laser again go around the same outline twice. And that way we basically got a perfect cut where even the little pieces in the middle and the small circles just fell out by themselves from the original piece of plywood. Now if you saw my previous laser videos, you might have seen that some of the plywood that we worked with there got quite singed, and that's not the laser's fault in any way, but what will help prevent that is if you have something like a honeycomb base to work on, which basically provides air underneath the wood as well and helps prevent the singeing from the laser. And Ortur also provided me with their laser engraving platform, which basically has that same effect of providing air underneath the pieces that you're cutting out, and that really helped get nice clean cuts without all the singeing. Now I did get a few of these pieces cut out because again I kind of got on a roll and I didn't really want to stop, plus I knew I wanted to make a few pieces of jewelry, so I did make them in 2 different colors. We have white ones because obviously that's quite fitting for basic snowflake, but then I also thought I would make them in silver just to get a bit of a different look. So for all of them, once we cut them out, what I then did was cover everything in gesso to get a nice base layer. And then obviously for the white ones, I just painted them with white paint. And for the silver ones here, I have a lovely silver paint that I then coated these in. And I think both have ended up working really well, and I really like them in both colorways, to be honest. Now I didn't want to just leave it painting them because I thought they still needed some more oomph and some more sparkle. So if you remember, again, from the very first pieces that we engraved, I added those little crystals. So they're both Swarovski and Preciosa crystals in different sizes. I did the same with these snowflakes here. So in the center, I added a nice large one that's going to be very sparkly, especially in the earrings where they're going to be moving a lot. They're really going to catch the light. And then I added some smaller ones all the way around the outside, because I did leave kind of a little circular platform at the very tip of every little point of the snowflake, because I knew I wanted to add some crystals like this for that extra sparkle. And again, I did that both for the white and the silver, and I think that works really well, and I love it in both necklace and earring form. So I do think these will make a lovely Christmas set, but any time would work because I don't think there's ever a wrong time for sparkle. Now the final pieces of jewelry that I just want to show you, I would say are definitely Christmas themed, and personally I think they're really cute. So again, for this we used plywood to cut out, and I made this design again in Procreate. And this one is actually a little bit 3D, if you could say that, because what we have are a few Rudolphs. So these ones here are earrings, of course, and the 3D is because we have the nose kind of poking out. Obviously that's the main feature. So a really cute pair of earrings, and I just made sure to leave some holes in the design so I could attach my findings, of course, and they dangle nicely on the ear. So a cute Christmas pair of earrings, and these are the smaller size. And with these I thought, of course, you also have to make a necklace version so you can wear them as a set. And again, I just used the holes to then attach a chain. So once more, I designed this in Procreate and then just took it into Photoshop to finish it off. So I did do the nose separate from the base here. So I just had the outline of the basic shape, and then the nose I did separately, but got it to cut it out in one go. So basically I had the nose laying above the head. And then afterwards, I covered everything in gesso again. And then it came to the painting itself. So I ended up painting the head in kind of a lighter brown, and the antlers are darker brown. I did some cute little eyes on them, and then the nose, of course, is a nice red color. And then afterwards I just glued the nose onto the face, and then they turned into cute little Rudolphs. And I do think this is a really cute Christmas set, and it's made completely from scratch. So I'll be honest, I love how many possibilities that you basically have with these laser machines, whether it's engraving or making things from scratch like this. And of course there's even more if we're not looking at jewelry related things. This is literally just the tip of the iceberg, and I personally am so excited to play around more with this to see what other designs it can come up with. I've already thought with the original one that I showed you, as soon as I'd made this and added the gems, this made me think of basically making star sign versions of them, because how the star signs are in the sky, obviously created that as the engraving, but then use the little gems to add where the actual stars are. I think that would be a lovely little piece of jewelry as well, and could also then be quite personal. So that might be something I'm going to experiment with. Otherwise, of course, it's really cool as well that you can just make themed pieces right from scratch. And I did also make a little extra Rudolph as a necklace. I might give him as a present. But now that I showed you all the jewelry that I made, I just have one more thing that I want to show you, because they did also send me the rotary tool to try out, where you can engrave onto bottles, tumblers, or anything like that. And since I had a little taste of that previously, I do really like that idea, because I do have these water bottles that I use all the time. I love the thought of engraving onto them. So this is what we ended up with. Now this might be a little bit hard to see because it's quite dark, and it isn't 100% because it didn't fully engrave through the layer. But that's not the machine's fault. What we just should have done with the settings is set it to go over the same thing twice, like we did with some of the other engraving. But obviously this was the first time trying it out with this material and stuff. So again, this is why you need to test things out. We then know that for the future we would set it to do it twice, and they would then get through that outer coating and make a much more complete and nice engraving. But if you're curious what it does say, this is my favorite quote of all time. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. That is why it is called present. Because I got an idea from engraving onto these bottles previously. I really like the thought of having like a favorite quote or saying onto the bottle, so as you have it on you all the day, because I keep this with me all the time. I can just see that quote and just be reminded of a nice positive saying, and it just brings me up a little bit if I need it. So it does look really nice. The actual engraving itself, it just wasn't quite deep enough, and like I said, that's not the machine's fault. It's just us getting the settings a bit wrong, but obviously we then know to do that differently in the future. But I do think it's really cool that you can engrave on things like this as well and make it personal. So I very much enjoyed using the Ortur Laser Master 3, and as you can see, we got some lovely results out of it. And just to mention a feature with this machine that I really like is you can actually use a tablet or your phone for this machine to tell it what you want it to do instead of having to use a whole separate computer. So I think that's a really cool feature, and we did do that for quite a few of these pieces, and that software was also pretty simple to use, which is always a plus when you're still new to things. Now when it came to the pieces that we cut, we did use the software Lightburn, which is a third-party software and a bit more of a professional one that has loads of features, so that was a little bit more intimidating and difficult to learn, but obviously we did get there eventually. But to start out with, it's really nice to just have that software on a tablet or phone. It's just a nice starting place. But otherwise, I want to thank Ortur very much for sending me this machine and the accessories. I was very happy to try it out and also show you what things can maybe be made with it. And like I did say earlier, all information that you're going to need is going to be in the description box below the video. Otherwise, I really hope you enjoyed this video being on my laser machine journey with me. Now, thank you so much for watching it, and I'll see you in the next one.